Okay, so everybody was nice enough to watch an hour of me with my complete thorough ponage of Inventor Gorilla, and he made a response video called "Get a Life." And in order to keep the time down, I'm just going to do this in one take and just respond to the things that he says right away on screen for you guys. And I might take twice as much time as he takes because I'm watching his words and then responding. So, you ready? Here we go. Get a life or get a job. Because if I have some free time, I must not have a job. That's really low, dude. How steady is your employment?
Good morning, YouTube. It's IG, Inventor Gorilla. It's about 6:30 a.m. West Coast, Tuesday morning.
Good morning.
The first thing I want to say is an hour.
Yes, an hour.
Dude, Agent of Doubt.
Read the timestamp. It says an hour.
Don't you have other stuff to do, man? I mean...
And if you look at the description box of the video, it says, yes, it takes an hour to correct all that is wrong with the less than 10 minutes I responded to. I gave a thorough response to his video.
The reason I did these videos, and I'm going to continue to do these videos, is to prove a point.
What's the point?
Is to prove that no matter what I say...
No matter what you say...
You're going to argue.
I'm going to argue with you.
Atheists will argue with me, no matter what I say.
Okay, well, I'll just prove that point wrong. In the follow-up video to the video that I pwned, Inventor Gorilla says that it is possible for Christians to believe science. And while I am saying that faith is the antithesis to the search for evidence, I will agree with Inventor Gorilla that it is possible for Christians to believe in science because they compartmentalize. I've seen in my fields of electronics and psychology, I've seen many different scientists who go to church on Sunday and then they go to work from Monday to Friday and they don't let their faith infect their work as a bias. And then on Saturday they cut their grass, drink some lemonade while laying in a Chase lounge in their backyard, trying to relax from all the internal strife that they're struggling with in their head, trying to resolve their faith in their science. But I will say that it is possible for Christians to believe in science. The one exception to that observation, how I've seen scientists who are Muslims and Hindus and Christians that don't let their biases infect their work. The one exception I've seen to that observation in my own life has been Amish people who pray during just about everything while they're working, while they're making the most awesome furniture in the world. And I've heard, but not observed, that prayer throughout the day is very common in Eastern countries during the work hours. You know, if those countries are under Sharia law or under an Islamist regime. So, let's continue. After, disagreeing with you that I'm going to disagree about everything.
I mean, I just put up a video saying that I believe in science. Do I believe every absolute thing they say and believe everything they say to be fact? No.
Okay. In my video that you didn't watch, I actually explained how science teaches people the scientific method, and that scientific method, when it's taught, is used to verify the work that other scientists have already done, and that no work in science is assumed to be true and exempt from testing. None of it. So, no, we don't accept everything we read. We keep verifying even the simplest things, even ketchup coming out of the bottle. We want to know how fast it's coming out of the fucking bottle, and we keep testing it year after year. There's actual grants spent by the U.S. government just for testing the viscosity of fucking Heinz ketchup. Alright? So, no. We're not believing everything that we hear. And the point of your video was that people who are atheists that believe in science are using faith to believe that science. And that's what I was poning. You're changing the subject here in this video. Let's see.
Do you?
No, I don't believe everything
Do you
that I read.
believe every single word that comes out of a scientist's mouth?
No, but I give a lot more credence to things that are peer-reviewed and have been tested by other people as being valid than I give to the bullshit in your Bible.
Published in a paper? Do you believe everything?
No, I don't believe everything that's published in a paper. If you want another example of me disagreeing with things published in papers and accepted journals, I have a degree in psychology, and I disagree with some of the things that are in the Diagnostic Statistic Manual because I can see the political arm of the APA that is being pressured by other political groups to take things out of the Diagnostic Statistical Manual that probably should have been modified instead of just taken out all the way. So I do disagree with things that some might agree with on consensus.
I mean, you must. You must obviously believe everything you read that you think has credibility.
No, obviously I don't. I'm saying that everything is up for grabs if you want to test something. Nothing is exempt from people testing it and having a good reason to test it. We need to test and validate fucking everything. If only to show school students that we've found something to be true with science, we can validate it then. I say that in my video, but of course you didn't watch my video.
So why can't I?
Why can't you believe things that you haven't tested and validated? I've said it before in other videos that the beliefs that you hold are bigoted towards Catholics, towards homosexuals, and people who believe the same religion as you. They have a lot of power in our government. These are things that I'm working against, and it all stems from people giving faith the same amount of respect as looking for evidence, which they shouldn't. They should not respect faith at all.
Why is it the only people making response videos are atheists?
Because you pointed the question at atheists.
Why is that?
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't Christians arguing with me?
Actually, when you said that Catholics were following a form of Satanism because Catholicism is Satanism in your mind, I did see Thunderbolt 94 disagree, and he is a Catholic. We could ask him if he's a Catholic, and we could ask him if he disagrees about you saying that he's a Satanist, and we could ask him if he, openly disagreed with that.
You know why?
Why?
Because Christians don't have anything really to prove.
Christians have everything to prove. They just don't want to have the burden of proof.
It's you people that have something to prove. It's you people that need to line up and try to prove me wrong.
I don't have to prove you wrong if you're making the positive claim that your God exists. You have to prove that you're right.
And you know why I think that is?
Why do you think that is?
Because you struggle with it yourself. You're struggling it with yourself. And what you're really trying to do is you're not trying to convince me. You're trying to convince yourself.
Common psychological tactic. I'm sure that everyone who's watching this video can probably see beyond that. That he's giving me motives that I don't have in order to discredit what I'm saying. Even if I was trying to prove it to myself by proving it to you, if my facts speak for themselves and prove it anyway, or if I use your facts to prove that you're not making sense, my biases don't mean anything. pwned.
You keep reassuring yourself that, you know what? There is no God. Well, you know what? You don't know that.
I have not claimed that I know that no God exists. I have claimed that I can prove that your God is illogical and does not exist. Could be another one floating out there that hasn't been defined yet, but the one that you're following doesn't exist. In my video, I even give an illogical contradiction about the way that your religion is run. You could have watched the video, but, you know,
There's
it was an
no
hour long.
amount of scientific data that's going to prove that God doesn't exist.
There's a hefty amount of scientific data that proves that your God doesn't exist, not that a God doesn't exist. And there's a hefty amount of data that comes from your Bible that is illogical and contradictory that proves that your God cannot exist.
Sure, you can prove that some of the things in the Bible may not be true.
Yes. The Bible is not infallible.
But then again, Jesus spoke in parable, which means God speaks in parable.
Isn't it funny how God and Jesus can't find a better, clearer way to communicate to their followers? Why don't they have the power to make things clear? Why are we arguing right now in a video if your God could make these things clear? You know? Seems a little fishy to me.
And so learning to discern between who God is speaking to, if it's a parable or not, you know, I guess is due to how much you study and understand the Bible.
No, learning to discern who God was speaking to is a way for people to rationalize how these contradictions are in the Bible, and they get to cherry pick which side they want to use for anything that they want to decide on. You know, oh, God supports me in this decision, or God supports me in that decision. That's what it is.
Which isn't very much for atheists.
Atheists don't study the
Yeah,
Bible?
no, you know,
I can show you a Pew Research poll that actually demonstrated scientifically that atheists and Jewish people knew more about the Bible and other world religions than people who are part of your charismatic sect of Christianity. In fact, your charismatic sect of Christianity scored the absolute lowest on that Pew Research poll. Science for the win, bitch.
a lot of people will say, well, I used to be a theist. Just because you used to be a theist doesn't mean that you studied the Bible. It means you used to believe in God. That's all it means.
Okay.
It doesn't mean you've studied the Bible. It doesn't mean that you've ever, owned a Bible dictionary and actually studied.
Okay. Just because someone was a theist and they're now an atheist does not mean that they studied the Bible in depth or to your satisfaction. But it does mean that they have a reason for leaving theism and going to atheism. You know, if only for the fact that the Bible doesn't prove the existence of God itself. So, rather than attacking people for not having reasons sufficient to you, why don't you ask them what the reasons are and then see if you can refute them?
Actually taken it seriously and studied it like a subject in college.
I take the Bible very seriously. In fact, I quoted probably 20 lines of the Bible in my video to you to show you illogical contradictions. And the whole reason why I'm doing this, the whole reason why I'm so serious about this, is because your religion causes a lot of pain in this world. And I have this feeling that I want to help people. That's why I spend fucking an hour poning everything that you're saying in your video.
I showed you my microbiology book.
I see your microbiology book.
I've got other philosophy books and science books. And here's one of my favorites right here. It's big.
Microbiology, and what's this?
Called Cosmos.
Cosmos. Yeah, it's a bit big for you to hold right there. I got the same one right here. Cosmos. Okay, so thank you for appealing to the authority of Carl Sagan, who I'm still testing myself. But as far as microbiology, how did Noah divide all of the different diseases, especially the sexually transmitted ones, when he was gathering all of the life forms onto the ark? Did he give his daughter Clapagona herpessyphilades, and then wait a second, what was AIDS even around back then? Could that be evolution? Anyway, and then did he give leprosy to his son? You know, how did he divide those up so that those diseases could live? And if there was only 2 of every animal, how did those animals get those diseases and still live? And even if you trust the other account that says there was more than 2 of every animal, then still, if you give some of these animals like Ebola, give monkeys Ebola, they're all gonna fucking die off. So there's one thing about microbiology that I don't think you've tackled. Also, why would a benevolent God even create viruses whose only purpose is really to make us sick and reproduce? It seems like a really prick thing to do. Cosmos. Yeah. So you're going to say that the world was created the way that your God says, or you're going to say that the accounts in your Bible are a metaphor for what actually happened. When in actuality, even if taken as a metaphor, they describe jack shit about the world and how it was actually created that we can see through observational fucking evidence. Evidence. Let's see.
Okay.
Put the book down, it's heavy.
So, you know what? You people don't know me. You don't know what I believe and what I don't believe.
Okay, well, if you're going to say that you believe something and then say, oh, I was just testing it, I don't really believe it, yeah, we can't put any stock in what you're saying about what you believe.
You just line up to make a video. An hour, dude?
Yeah, it takes an hour to pwn all your bullshit.
Jerk off?
When do I have time to jerk off? When I'm watching your videos, bitch.
You spend so much time. You flip-flop between me and T-Master. And by the way, T-Master had nothing to do with me unboxing you.
Really? Because things that I told T-Master on the phone, you were parroting later in your video right after you fucking unboxed me.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Uh-huh.
And you've upset him really bad. I hope you're happy. I hope you're happy with upsetting Shane.
I've come to terms with how this conversation is going to upset Christians. Taking away people's worldview and shattering their delusions is a very fucking painful thing. All right? So, I'm there for people when they come to me and say that, now that they don't have that worldview, they have a little bit of depression. I'm there to talk, but I realize that getting rid of all this bullshit causes pain. All right? But the bullshit causes more pain in the long run than getting rid of it.
Over this. Because you believed he had something to do with it. He had nothing to do with it.
Uh-huh.
An hour.
Yes, it takes an hour.
10-minute video.
You can cram enough bullshit into 10 minutes that it takes an hour to unravel it. And you're amazed that I made a response to you. You fucking asked for responses, and I made a thorough one.
I didn't even watch it.
That is a common tactic I've heard from Christians who get pwned by me, that they didn't even watch it, because they don't want to give it any credibility. They want to plug their ears and go la la la. In fact, in the video, I say that you're plugging your ears and going la la la. What the fuck, dude?
I mean, why?
Why watch it? Because you asked for responses and you got one.
I watch you sit there and ramble and try to put me down and prove my statements wrong when you can't prove my statements wrong.
I did in my video. I proved your statements wrong.
You can just give your own opinion of them.
It is not my opinion that faith is the belief in something without evidence, and that science is a search for evidence. And those two things don't gel well together. Those are like oil and water.
That's what everything here is just an opinion.
No. Some of us are using facts to pwn your delusions.
It's just a point of view.
It's not just a point of view when you use it to hurt people. Then you're calling the ponage on yourself.
What I'm proving is that Christians don't go out of their way to shame atheists. It's atheists that go out of their way to shame believers.
Well, I have a little bit of anecdotal evidence to the contrary. Let's see. I just made a video about a veiled death threat where somebody's saying that my atheism leads to death, you know, trying to shame me into seeing the error of my ways. But let's see another thing. I put up a video recently about a gay church, and I didn't pwn it because I thought, well, that's kind of progressive of them. And I got a message from Highway to Heaven fan. It says, I've got a few words for gay churches in Minnesota and every state. You are a dead church. Your church is of the dead and for the dead. You have dead in your aisles, and they smile and say, wonder, dead God we have who lives in hell but yet is on the planet Earth. What wonderful people we have that loves us with lust, unconditional lust for each other. See, whenever anyone strays away from Christianity just a little bit, the other Christians tend to jump on that differing opinion and try to kill it. You know? So I completely disagree with what you're saying. Christians line up to respond to atheists all the fucking time. Your idol Venom Fang X, perfect example.
And I think it's disgusting.
Okay.
I think it's more evidence of what you're really doing with your life.
What I do with my life in my free time on YouTube is try to help people get out of the painful condition that is worshiping your false god.
You're trying to convince yourself.
I'm not trying to convince myself. You're the one that has something to convince people of. You're the one who's claiming that your God exists. I'm claiming that you haven't made any credible evidence as to the existence of your God, and there's no reason to believe in your God at all.
When you really don't know if there's a God or not.
I don't know if there is a God or not. I just know that there's no your God.
IG out.
Okay, LOL an hour. He's laughing because he got a response that he asked for. Yes, I love Jesus and I believe in science. And I just proved you wrong that I'm going to argue with you about everything by saying that it is possible for Christians to appreciate science and be Christians on Sunday because they compartmentalize. And I think proof of that is that IG has a better phone than I do. He's really enjoying the fruits of science. And, you know, even though there's no mention in Revelations of people talking with stones in their hands to each other from across the world, because how could they fucking predict something like that? Your God has no evidence for it, and your God is powerless. May he strike me down, may he strike you down, may he set this whole fucking house on fire, may he set your house on fire, and none of that fucking shit just happened because I just tested him, and he doesn't exist.